Welcome to One on One. I'm Greg Bassett, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. If you pay attention to the show, last summer I was in a funk, so I had some people come in who I like to talk to, people who would never talk to me if I didn't have a TV show. And we're doing that again this week with my good friend Jenni Pastusak. Welcome, Jenni.
Thank you. That's not true.
You would never talk to me if I didn't have a TV show?
Yeah, no.
I think it's true, but that's okay. It's
You're
okay.
also the editor of a newspaper.
No one cares, but it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. So how's your summer?
It's different, crazy.
Yeah.
Still busy.
Yeah.
Busy in a different kind of way. But I'll say good. I mean, it's like I said, busy meaning, work is good and kids are good. It's just different. It's just different.
People probably know your voice because you were on TV for a long time, and then you transitioned into the marketing world. You went real big in the fitness world. You had some kind of a thing happen, like I did 10 years ago, where I was like, I needed to get fit, and you see what happened after that. But you've sustained it, which is good. We talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
But your voice is on commercials. I hear them all the time for Apple drugs and stuff like that. I think when I call Apple drugs, I think you're even on like the voicemail or whatever.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. I mean, when they need someone quick to change their, when COVID hit, they
Right.
needed to change all of the voicemails.
Right.
And I'm pretty accessible, and I've worked with them for many years. So sure,
Yeah.
I'll do it.
So the marketing stuff you do, I'm fascinated by because I have the Dinosaur publication, the print publication, which we do really well with still, because we have people in a certain demographic who still want to spend time with a newspaper. And they like looking at it. Maybe they put it by the potty or they put it on the island in their kitchen or wherever, and they refer to it all week, and they look at our customers' ads. But certainly there's this movement toward digital, and you work for D3, and you guys do a lot of marketing with digital, like lots of new fun things that make us more creative in how we get our message out.
Yeah, we're literally a digital marketing firm, and a lot of people. There's a lot of people that maybe just don't understand it, like especially if you talk to a client, they're like, well, what is my money getting me? And how do I know that it's going to be seen? So we rely really heavily on reporting and statistics to show the measure, how many conversions, how many impressions.
Right.
And there's even people, we have a kind of a key at the bottom that says this means this, because they don't even really know what that means.
Right.
So we try and simplify it and help them understand that, people are on their phones all day. People are, in front of laptops or computer screens all day for work, and you will be seen.
Right.
But in the same, conversation, we have to help them explain to them that just because they click on an ad, if it takes it to your website and they're not getting the exact information they're looking for, you lost them.
They'll bail.
So yes,
Yeah.
They will bail. So our job is to make sure, don't put the cart before the horse, make sure that website has the specific landing pages for the actual ads to direct them directly to those pages.
And it really can be really effective. The world really is changing that way.
I think so too. And I think that, like email marketing is just, it's another layer of that in providing that information literally at, people's fingertips. And, it is, when you break it down and you see, how many people converted or how many people went to the site but didn't convert, you can retarget to them.
Right.
So it's kind of freaky in a sense, I work with a lot of young professionals and they're amazing at what they do, but I still have the feelings of Big Brother watching over you,
Yeah.
like you visit something, you're looking for a pair of shoes, that ad is popping up on your Facebook page and you're like, my goodness, they follow you.
Yeah, I made the mistake. I'm looking to buy a car, and I was looking at some Hondas, and now whenever I'm in the Washington Post website, all these Honda ads are coming up.
Right.
But that's how it should be. I can feel it working on me. Like, I'm thinking, yeah, I think I do want to get that.
That's amazing. That's good.
Subliminal how it works.
I know. And we even have stats on, the most expensive or sought after word out there, insurance.
Right.
That's the highest bid. And you don't have to bid high on that word. There's so much competition of insurance companies. And I want that word. Well, you're going to have to pay for it. That's
Right.
a key word. And depending on what industry you're in, they could be expensive or they could be a little bit cheaper.
Right. And that's something the newspapers have sort of set the price. Businesses are used to paying a certain price for a certain amount of real estate size in a paper. But the online thing is all different. All these metrics are different, and they don't know what they should pay. So you kind of plant that seed just through that passive. You don't even know you want something.
No. Well, and that's what happened, when COVID hit, as far as you can't walk into that storefront. You can't.
Right.
So how am I going to have e-commerce work for me?
Right.
Whatever business I'm in. I'm a salon. I cut people's hair. What can I do? I can package up a color kit customized to your color that I usually dye your hair with, and I can ship it to you.
Right.
Because you can color your hair at home now until we
That's
open
what
back
I do.
up again.
I color mine at home.
I just think that a lot of businesses really thought outside the box because they're like, I can't have that in-person experience, so how can I reach them online?
Yeah. So how's your fitness regimen?
It's good. I'm still training for that triathlon. The first few never happened because of, everything was put on hold. So I got a new bike. It's an endurance road bike, and it's amazing. I didn't realize how much I loved cycling. And I usually go with a group of people because we can actually, well, it depends on how fast we're going. We can talk. We can talk and kind of interact when we ride together, whether it's 20 miles or 30 miles. We did ferry to ferry the one time, and it was a lot of fun. And then you get off of it, and you're like, whoo, you can feel it. It's a workout.
Yeah.
Running, I've always, kind of ran. I did it 2 days ago. It was pretty hot.
Yeah, it's been
Someone
hot.
from the gym said they saw me, and she's like, who is that crazy lady? She's like, and then it was you. I said, I can't help it. I don't care how hot it is.
Yeah.
Because on race day, if it's hot, you got to run.
Yeah.
So I will say the swimming part, I thought I knew how to swim. Before I joined Y-Tri at the the YMCA, I realized very quickly that I really didn't know how to stroke and how to swim efficiently. And they have great coaches there. So
And it's like a mile you swim in the triathlon.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's in open water. So you're not doing laps, you have to look up.
Right.
Because my issue was when we did a one swim practice, I wasn't looking up enough, and I went way off course, and I'm wasting energy, I'm wasting time. And Bob Bryant, Lisa Bryant's husband, was in a
Who's
kayak next to me.
very fit. Yeah.
He was in it. He's like, little to the right, Jenny, little to the right, and I was like, darn it, because I knew I wasted all that energy. I look up, and everyone's over there.
Yeah.
So it's a learning experience.
But that might not be spec, because I hear that they swim over top of you, which I never even imagined. You can get injured by these people.
The really competitive races, yes. We practice that in the pool, where you get used to literally we swim in a whole circle around the pool, and people will swim over top of each other because you have to get used to being pushed down,
Right.
pulled back.
And they hit you, and yeah.
That can happen. I think more in like Ironmans and stuff
Okay.
like that, where it's really competitive. And if you don't want that to happen to you, you kind of have to hang to the back or the
Right.
side.
Well, I had a friend who did it, and no one had told her that was a possibility. So and she did not anticipate it. So when people were hitting her,
Yeah.
she kind of freaked out.
Well, we did a fun relay race the one time, and I'm not going to mention his name, but our coach was like, anything goes. If they're trying to get to their partner to tap them to go around, you can stop them. You can pull them. You can get in front of them. And I'm swimming, and I was a little bit faster than him, and he decided, I'm going to pull, but he grabbed, I have a cap on, and my hair was all up in a bun. And man, didn't he just grab the back of my head and pulled it back. And I looked up, and my coach was standing right there. He's like, it wasn't me. And at the end, it was a joke, because at first I was like, anything goes, really? So I walked up to him, and I was like, it's okay, paybacks, but you don't have any hair, so I guess I'll have to pull something else.
Now, how have you sustained it? We've talked about this, because for me, I was gung-ho, and then one day I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to go to the gym today, and then a week later, yeah, I'm not going to run today. I'm fine. I don't need it. It's raining. I'm not going to run. And then all of a sudden you gain 5 pounds, you gain 10 pounds, and then you go out to do it, and it's like, wow, this is really hard. It was really easy before, and I don't want to do it because it's hard. And next thing you know, you're 40 pounds heavier, and it's all over.
I think that's a good question, because during COVID, I go to CrossFit Salisbury, and we're Salisbury Fitness now. The gym shut down. The owners said, take the equipment home, because we can't use it here. And even
Wow.
though we took it home and worked out in our garages, it wasn't the same experience because you didn't have the people in the community,
Yeah.
the camaraderie, the push.
Yeah, when I was at World Gym, we looked for each other and we pushed each other. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about it.
No, and
Yeah.
that's what it takes for me. I like the class mentality. I like working out with people that are competitive, and it helps you push yourself, and it kind of makes you accountable. You show up. Because I'm a fair weather runner, so in the cold, I don't really love running. But if I have someone to meet at 7 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull myself out of bed and meet them because I feel bad, you know. So I think it's definitely that community aspect of what I do, and even the people I train with the triathlon. Even though that's a non-team, it's not really a team competition. It's an individual sport. The people that you train with are they're fun. They're really fun to be around.
But did you ever hit a spot where you're like, I don't want to do this as much? It's like the people I know from who were in AA, you think that they've got it made, and they say, no, it's a battle every day. I want to drink every day. I would think that people want to not run every day.
Yeah. Or there's the other side where people are, I don't want to say addicted to it, but it's not really an option of whether you're going to do it.
Right.
We have athletes show up that we actually recommend you need to take a rest day.
Right.
You can't come 7
Yeah,
days
rest
a week.
is really, I learned that too. Rest is really important.
Very, very important. It's just as important as your workout because of injury, because of, you can overtrain. And, as we get a little bit older, that's not fun. Recovery for me is way different than it was even, 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
So I think that there are some people that have to be, it's almost not an addiction, but it's like they have to do it. They want to do it. And I think that can be dangerous too. But I do look at it as it's okay to take 2 rest days in a row, 3 rest days in a row. But I will say in the winter, when it gets colder, and the holidays come, it's a little bit harder to, get back in the saddle and feel good about, because when that run is really hard, it stinks,
Yeah.
It's not like you feel great after it. It's like, oh, that was really hard.
Yeah, the cold never bothered me for some reason. But I ran better at night. I was a bad morning runner.
Okay.
But after work, 8:30, after dinner even, I would run really well. I don't know why that was.
Yeah, I fell down at night and gashed my leg open, so I tried not to really run too late at night anymore.
Yeah. I miss it. I'll get back there. I keep saying.
You can.
It's been, 7 years now since I've really done it.
Yeah, and I think too, Harlan Eagle is the one who kind of got me starting running.
Yeah.
I used to walk in the morning, and I just ran for a minute. And then he's like, run for 2 minutes, then
Right.
run for 3 minutes. And I was like, that's not going to work. It did.
It's really amazing when in the training stuff. If you want to run the 3K, 5K, whatever, 3.25 miles, it says run 300 yards, walk 300 yards,
Yeah.
and at the end of the 6 weeks, it says run 3.14 miles. You're like, that's not going to happen, but then you do.
You do.
You get your wind and you're able to do it. It's just amazing how your body converts all this stuff.
I know. It's like the couch to 5K, those
Yeah,
kind of programs
yeah.
and stuff like that. It is very key. And after someone does that for the first time, they're drinking the Kool-Aid then. They're like,
Yeah.
I'm a runner,
Yeah.
and it doesn't, for those people, it doesn't really matter your pace if you're not stopping and
It's
you
fun.
can run the whole time.
Yeah.
It's a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah. You had a health scare recently. You want to talk about this?
Yeah, we had COVID kind of, make its way through my household.
You got the COVID.
Yeah, I did. My son actually got it first, and he tested positive. He was asymptomatic. I'm like, he doesn't have it.
He's
But
like a teenager.
he's 16.
Okay.
And another friend who he took to work had tested positive. So in a car together, we're like, we should get you tested. And I really he had no symptoms. And then they called me and said his test was positive. And I kind of was like, oh gosh, well, what do we do now? And they basically said, so he needs to quarantine, even though he has no symptoms. And because he lives with you, you have to quarantine too.
Ooh.
And I'm like, okay, I
Were
understand
you
the
already
why.
working from home? So you were
Yeah.
okay.
I understood the why. I did. And so the last day of his quarantine, this is the crazy part. The next day he was like free. He's 16. He drives. Like he wants to be free and independent. He spiked a fever. So that added 2 more weeks to his quarantine.
Oh, my.
So he basically lived in his bedroom in my house for a month. It was, at first it's like video games and movies and eating and relaxing and sleeping but he was getting restless. And after he spiked the fever, he had the symptoms for maybe like 2 days, but then they subsided, and he still had to finish out the quarantine, be fever-free. And I don't know how many days later, I all of a sudden spiked a fever, had the chills, headache, stomach ache, body pain, and there was no doubt in my mind.
Did you know immediately what it was?
I did, because I knew all the symptoms,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, this can't be anything else but COVID. So I will tell you, I had one really, really, really bad night that I almost called 911, and then I found out the next day that they probably wouldn't have been able to help me anyway.
Right. They would have sent Holloway Funeral Home.
But I was that desperate. Yeah. I was like, this is the worst ever, and I'm a healthy person, and why is this happening? But it, I think it probably does affect people differently, because I thought about that. I thought about something, someone whose health is compromised and maybe not as healthy. How would they feel?
Well, you're the most physically fit person I know, and if it kind of rocked you a little bit, just imagine what it would do to someone like me.
It rocked my world to the point where I kept just saying, I was like, I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy. Like, you don't want this. That's why I didn't see my youngest son for a whole month, because he couldn't come to my house because
Right.
Stephen was quarantining, and I'm like, I don't want anyone, getting this. This is no fun. So I finally welcomed Nicholas back home this week, and got to like hug him and kiss him. My 14-year-old, I'm like, dude, I miss you.
Right.
And I think he missed me too. But it's like, we can't be near each other. We just can't.
Do you now feel like invincible because you're herd immune? I mean,
I think that now I take it more seriously.
Yeah.
I also am thinking, should I get the antibodies test? I don't know. There's so much information out there, and you just don't know what is accurate and what is just kind of a guess. That just because you had it doesn't mean you have the antibodies. Like, I don't think that you can assume anything right now, but just try and be cautious and be careful as much as you possibly can. And because it's not really about you either, it's about other people
right,
too.
Right.
So.
And I'm just reading, I didn't really pay attention to this. There's so many different little weird strains that do so many different things to people.
Well, yeah, like I didn't lose my taste buds or sense of smell. I didn't have the chest issues. But all the other symptoms I had were so intense that I'm like, I couldn't even imagine putting one of those on top of it. And I mean, then there's the question, and we don't have to get into this. It's like, well, is COVID, it's just the flu? Or is there a flu and then there's COVID? Like, they have similar, I don't know. Are we going to have a flu season on top of this?
Right, we will.
Because people are, we're talking about immunizations and flu shots now.
Yeah.
Well, what happens if I get both or one or the, I don't know. That's why it's like, just keep washing your hands.
Yeah. Now, you don't remember this, but I do. In 1976, we had the swine flu, which was a big deal. And we all went out and got our swine flu vaccine. Remember, there's President Ford got his swine flu shot. And then all these people started coming up with, I forget what it's called, the Guillain-Barre or whatever. Their legs would stop working. Because it was a side effect from the flu, because they rushed the flu vaccine. So I wonder, and you never hear anyone talk about this, like what will the side effects be? What will be things Guillain-Barre? People would lose function in their legs because it was a side effect of the shot. So what could be happening with this next thing? We don't.
Well, and
we
that's
don't know.
where when I talk to people, there are people that say, I will lose my job if my employer mandates that I get a COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
And it's that serious that people just don't trust.
There's that whole aspect, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, I'm sorry, I'm not ready to do that. And, I'll admit, I don't get a flu shot every year.
Yeah.
I just don't. I'm not anti, but I just don't get it. And knock on wood, I've had the flu, and I laid on my couch and felt like a train, hit me for a week. But I guess maybe I should be responsible and get one. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of shots. I will tell you that COVID test up my nose, I really feel like they got a piece of my brain because they have to put it up there pretty far.
Yeah.
And the whole time you're standing there and your eyes are tearing and the nurse is so nice, but you're like, stop.
Yeah. I was in a conference call with the hospital and they were talking about how many bad tests there are because the nurses are afraid to really go up there far enough. And people come back negative and they were positive because it is such a grueling
That's
test.
the other scare, the false positive, false negatives, and the accuracy of the test and how it's administered. I think that your test could, I mean, I tested negative, and then because I still lived in the house with my son, I got it.
Right.
So I mean, at that time that I tested, maybe I didn't have it, but then I touched a surface that he touched.
5 minutes later, you can get it.
You think about, and you think about how it's kind of shared, and I don't have to sneeze on you, but something could happen in the air that I don't know. I really don't have all the, I don't know if anyone has all the answers, to be honest.
No one does, no. Dr. Fauci does.
Well.
Real quick, I want to talk about TV news real quick, because
Okay.
20 years ago when I first got to town, you had just gotten to town, and you were the morning person on WBOC, and my friend Jackie Jennings, would switch to you in the newsroom. Okay, Jenny, what are we working on today? And you would sort of like wing where the reporters were going to be going on for the day, so we knew what to watch at 6 and 7 o'clock. And then from there, suddenly you're an anchor after Jenny left. You're on in the morning with Jimmy Hoppa?
I was on with...
When Jimmy started?
Yeah, I was there. Did the morning show before him. It was, I don't know if you remember Jeff Porter.
Jeff Porter was, okay, yeah.
Brian Keene.
Brian Keene.
And then Jimmy got hired as a co-anchor
Right,
with me.
right.
And
And they put him in the chair real low, because like the first couple of days he was way above
his
you.
knees would hit the desk. I felt bad because
Jimmy Hoppa's like 6'8", which no one knows.
he's
He's a
huge.
huge man, yeah.
But a great person.
But it was a great broadcast, and you were a news person, and now you're not a news person. What's it like to give up news? I would love to know what it's like to give up news.
I think that because my transition went directly into PR, I still had, which was very beneficial to me, because in PR, you're pitching to the news people. You want your story,
Right.
Published, or you want coverage. And I kind of knew what was on the other side of the phone, what they were doing in that editorial meeting.
Right.
So I knew how to pitch, when to pitch, how to talk to reporters. I already had contacts in the media, and it made my job in PR easy.
Right.
So it helped me in my next career move. Do I still...
You missed the chase.
I miss the part that when I get an opportunity, even now, we're shooting some videos with some clients in Ocean City, and I get to produce the video with my lovely, awesome photographer, videographer. I'm very hands-on, and I want to kind of produce it from start to finish because I want it to be good. And it's not just put a camera in front of someone and shoot a video. That's not the way we roll. So I get excited about what that end product looks like and how happy the client is with it. And, then we share it on social and their website. So I still kind of get to do a little bit of that. But I think that if I were to go back, it's much different now, Greg. They're one-man bands. They're reporters who are photographers, they're editors. They're doing it all on their own. And I didn't have to do that back then.
Yeah.
Because I would go out when I reported, I would go out with a photographer every day. To the point that you are a team, and together you have to bring all that news back and make it look good,
Right.
and make it only last 30 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever that is nowadays. But I didn't have to do that on my own. So when I pitch stories to the media and we get to talk to reporters, I have so much, I give them so much credit because they're doing it all. And because there's no choice. You're like a backpack reporter, and they're going to trim down the staff, but cover more news.
Right.
And a lot of them do a really good job.
And a lot of them don't.
Well, We live in this is a small market.
Yeah, and I have a lot of boring stories in my paper. I understand.
Yeah, this is training ground.
We call them boring but important.
Yeah, but reporters here are like, I'm going to make a tape because I want
Right.
to go to a big market.
Right.
And then you have the ones that are stay-heres, like
Right.
Jimmy, like Steve, like Lisa. This is where I live. I'm not going to go to New York or
Right.
DC. I started at Fox News Channel in New York City, and I wasn't on air there. There was no opportunity for that to happen. I had a really good experience on the morning show, and I learned a lot. But it was funny because when I moved from New York to Ocean City first, and I met and I interviewed, and I was told what I would make. I went home and cried.
Back then it was like 21, 18.
18?
$18,000 a year, yeah.
That's poverty level.
Yeah.
I mean, I look back
But it
and
was
it's
an
like,
Opportunity.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I took that opportunity and I got on air, so it worked for me. And I would rather raise a family here on the shore than in New York City.
Yeah.
So it was all meant to be.
All right, it worked. I feel better. I'm more invigorated after some time with
good.
Jenni Pastusak. I'm ready to enter the fall period now. Because
Okay.
we go into fall sweeps here at PAC 14.
Okay.
So we need to make sure our ratings are strong. So,
Okay.
So I need to be strong through these things.
Anything I can do to
You've
help.
made me strong. If you could just
Good.
do this for me in the gym, maybe I would be strong.
Let's go for a run together. We should do that.
We should do that. That would be a very short run. It's so embarrassing.
We can walk and talk.
When I'm out moving at all, I just concentrate on breathing, and not falling down.
That's important. That is very important. I've been there, done that.
She's Jenni Pastusak. Thanks for being here today. It's
Thanks.
great, and we'll have you back again to talk about women supporting women, because October is Breast Cancer Month, and
Yes.
maybe things will be a little bit more organized by then. We'll know what we're all going to be doing.
They're still out there trying to
Yeah.
raise money, so definitely.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Greg.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. Another edition of One-on-One right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and One-on-One. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.